behind, so there wouldn't be too much of a glare. But this new camera, I think, is going to be pretty solid.
I'm just trying to figure out what this crud is on my pants.
It's dog stuff, probably.
Uh,
Gotta be dog stuff. Could be dog stuff.
let's hope it's dog stuff.
Yeah, that other stuff. All right, jabronis, we're back. Welcome back to the Libretti Podcast Diary Show. I'm your host, Libretti. We got a special guest today. The Creature's back. It's been a while.
It's good to be back, man. We were just talking. It's been a long time. I think since the Wet Cat was here in Houston visiting was the last time I was on LPDS.
Yeah, you might have done another apartment episode here and there.
Oh yeah, I'm tugging on my thing.
But it's been too long. The Wet Cat episode we talked about Waffle House, I think.
That's right.
That was at the LPDS compound.
I was a strong anti Waffle House.
Yeah. I don't imagine that's changed much.
I haven't been to one, so I can't say I've changed my views.
But we're here we're actually in the Creature's new dungeon.
Welcome.
So I appreciate you letting me come here and doing this. It's a sweet setup. Obviously, we're not able to take it all in, but this is just one of like the many sweet rooms in this house. This is like the TV cinema room.
Yeah, I got a lot of space here, so we're kind of trying to figure out what to do with all of it. But I guess this could be a quasi podcast room for the time being.
It could be. I also like you have that little like dungeon corner space somewhere in one of the hallways, and that would be a nice little like.
Oh yeah. The room with no windows, the Harry Potter room that's just tucked away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's a great spot for you to set up bullpen GM for a comeback for a video.
I mean, listen, I guess we'll see after today's episode. If I give the people what they want, we'll get a gauge for whether or not I have anything to say that's worthwhile.
Yeah, well, let me tell you something. The people want more Creature.
Yeah.
That's basically all I get in comments and DMs.
Yeah, but mostly that's Mr. Saccone being really, really nice. Yeah.
No, he's always wants the Creature. He also is pretty good about telling me what he doesn't want. And you're never on that list.
I'm happy to hear that. Mr. Saccone is a fine judge of good content.
He certainly is. And another thing is I'll get basically two things of feedback. Sometimes people will give me feedback on like a topic that they can relate to, or they have something to add on to it or whatever, which is nice. But I usually get who's calling in with these impressions, they stink, and when are you gonna, like, you live next to Creature, why don't you guys do more episodes together? That's basically it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, listen, most of our time is filled up with sticks, and
a lot of sticks.
I'm not gonna,
recording sticks time.
Yeah. You don't wanna, or maybe you do, I don't know, but it's better to keep that off the record.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, I agree. We should do this more often for sure.
Yeah.
If we're not talking baseball, then, bum dumps or Waffle House or whatever it is that the people want to hear.
People want to hear everything.
Yeah.
And I am continuing to do my research and preparation work for that, like possibly weekly like Yankee stream when the season starts.
I think it's a great idea. Did you discuss that on LPDS?
I talked a little bit about it.
You did, yes.
About just the initial idea of like streaming, but sort of like a broadcast stream, and not just sitting down and reacting. It's a broadcast plus reactions. So I got to see. I might do a couple of like test runs where I don't stream it, but I record like another game, like a Giants game or another sports event, where and just to see how valuable, value added is.
I mean, you can even do like a game that's already been played. Obviously it's the off season right now and games aren't going on. You could just throw up like, a game that was, maybe the wild card game that the Yankees played in 2017, was it? Yeah, in 17 against the Twins. They go down early and then they make a comeback, and that was the first time they kind of like made a deep playoff run in seemingly a while. So you can like do a past played game and kind of get an idea of viewership and stuff like that and value out of that. But
yeah, I gotta try to figure out like the setup I can make where obviously I don't think I can like have the game on split screen because of copyright with MLB and stuff. I gotta see.
Yeah, I guess you gotta have to.
I might be able to do something where like there are programs like OBS software program is something you can put multiple screens up and you can change scenes to where it'll be just like this screen right here if you're looking in YouTube land. And then I can cut to a split screen image. And maybe if I show a replay of a home run, like after somebody hits a home run, I can split screen for just a replay portion. I don't know. I got to see how that works.
It's kind of like a weird tangent here, but like I always found that fascinating that baseball has all these like weird infringement rules as far as like what content you can use and what you can't use. And it's like, in theory, even though you are like maybe expecting to monetize this, or maybe you're just like, it's a cool idea and I just want to do it for fun. Either way, it grows the game, especially for like the newer generation that gets on Twitter, they get on Twitch or whatever streaming services you use. And it's like, hey guys, like let's watch this really cool, exciting game together. Like I said, if it's a past game and you know the outcome's insane, or maybe it's a new game, like in theory, you're helping MLB grow the game for the younger generation, but they're like, hold on a second, that's our content. You can't use that.
I think it's because they're short-sighted. They're just thinking of like,
of course,
that's immediate money that we're not getting, as opposed to let this guy get. Let's say it's not me. Let's say it's somebody else that's doing it, who has like 1,000 people watching his stream at any given time, and it's like, okay, maybe they're not watching it on MLB Network or whatever cable TV that you're getting, direct money from. But like, if they enjoy the content and they're learning about the game and they start to fall for the game, that's a long-term win.
Of course.
They're not thinking about like Rob Manfred doesn't think about any of that.
No, especially like since he became the commissioner, it's been his biggest challenge. Like, how do we get, baseball fans that have been watching baseball for a long time, they're always going to watch it. It doesn't matter what rules you change, whether I like it, whether I don't like it. It doesn't matter. I'm not going to go away because like baseball is a huge passion and I'm always going to be there. But if you're like really trying to figure out how we make it better for the younger viewership, like that's where they all hang out on, is online. And I can't remember if I know I talked to you about this offline. I don't know if it's ever been on LPDS episode, but I was telling you about Rob Friedman. I might be messing up his name. He goes by the Twitter handle Pitching Ninja.
Oh, that guy. Yeah.
Yeah, and he posts online all the time, like, take a look at this ridiculous 98-mile-an-hour two-seam with 12 inches of break that ends up right on the blade. It's a beautiful pitch.
And he breaks it down, too.
And he breaks it down, and he shows, like, overlays between a fastball and a slider. Like, guys, take a look at this. This is ridiculous. This is nasty. You wonder why a guy flails, like, at a slider 10 feet outside the zone. Well, here's why. And when he first started doing that, baseball actually shut him down because he was showing content that wasn't his. And they're like, you can't be doing stuff like that. And it wasn't until they hired him as like a contractor where they actually allowed for him to use that material. But even still, he had to fall under this umbrella of like MLB. He couldn't just be like a guy that posted online, look at this ridiculous pitch, how awesome, this is. He had to have like permission in order to do it. And I think that's freaking crazy.
It's still bullshit to me because you could create a contract situation with somebody and be like, yeah, you can use our content as long as we get like X% of whatever income you generate from it. Okay, cool. But what they end up doing is like, okay, you can use our content, but you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't say this bad stuff about Rob Manfred, you can't bash anything, you can't. So then you're just taking away what is appealing to that guy's content, because he breaks down pitches and he shows overlays of like arm slots for fastballs and changeups, and he'll talk about like when guys make a mistake, and it's like they're going to start restricting that. You can see how commentators during games, you can see how they're dancing around actual opinions and stuff, and how they're trying to make light of things because they know, oh, if I say the wrong thing, I'm going to get fired, or I
lose your credentials,
lose my credentials or anything like that. And that's why do you want that?
Like, well, it's bad for content. So like going back into like talking about bullpen GM for myself, like I remember when I came up with this idea back in like 2011, which I'm not going to like give myself credit for inventing content creation. I know that's been around for a long time. Podcasts have been around for a long time. However, when I came up with the idea, it certainly wasn't nearly as widespread as it is now.
No way.
John Boy Media wasn't a thing. Like a lot of these podcasts, maybe Barstool was just like getting cranked up, but they were not anywhere close.
No, they were blogs on still mostly newspaper, like their newspaper, and they were getting into the website, and it was like blogs about like chicks' cleavage and stuff like that.
Right.
It was like gossip blogs almost
Sure.
about sports.
So, I think about this and I say, all right, well, I kind of missed like coming up with a niche per se. Like, this is what I do different versus other people. Everybody's got a podcast, everybody's got a blog, everybody's got something nowadays. Yeah. So in reality, the thing that sets, if I were to do bullpen GM again or whatever, somebody else wants to do it, the only thing that's going to set you aside from other people is just doing it better. You're not going to be able to do anything different because everybody has a platform now. Right. But because everybody's got a platform now, that pushes the content to be better than the other. It's just competition. Whereas if you limit who can do that, now you're, like you said, you're getting watered down material. You're getting like, I don't want to say anything negative about this or that or the other. Whereas if you just have like a free, basically like a market for, content creation, that's when you get the best of the best, because the only way to do better than somebody else's podcast is just to have material that people would rather listen to. Yeah.
Right. And I like that idea too, because it keeps the options open for people. Like back in the day, I was back before Yes Network for the Yankees was around. Mm-hmm. I was watching the game on TV on mute and listening to John Sterling and Michael Kay on the radio.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously there was a time difference with the video and radio broadcast, but that's who I wanted to listen to. That's who we want to listen to in our house. Mm-hmm. So this form of like streaming and stuff, they allowed it. It provides those options for people. And to your point, again, you open the door to get more people to enjoy the sport.
Yeah.
Kids are like, people are streaming for everything. Video games, they're streaming on, like, you've seen all these people that just stream themselves. They have their Twitch open, and then they have a split screen of them on like Chat Roulette or Omegle or whatever those random sites are now, where they're just like, that's all they're streaming, is them going on having conversations with strangers.
I've seen a Twitch stream of a guy feeding a bunch of raccoons, and I found it fascinating.
Yeah. Like, and that's where most people are hanging out these days, these live streams. You get a chance to like connect with the human behind the camera doing the stream,
right?
Because it's live. Mm-hmm. So their reactions, their emotions and stuff is all happening live, and it's not a professional. Like, I love Michael Kay. I like listening to Paul O'Neill on the Yankee games, but they're still trained professionals performing a craft.
Right.
These are real human beings reacting like you would, and you can relate to that more, and that brings in more the audience, in my opinion.
No, for sure. It's kind of like it's not exactly the same perfect analogy, but like everybody knows the documentary, like The Last Dance with Michael Jordan, that came out, and everybody thought it was amazing, and it was. And part of the reason why it was so amazing is because it's not often that you get to see a player of his stature speak so candidly, where it's like, yeah, fuck this dude, fuck that guy, this happened, and this is why I wanted to smash him. Like, when you don't get that sort of like behind the scenes look, everything is more canned entries, and it's just like, whatever.
It's not human. Yeah. Right. Almost like, okay, you're not, I can't, you're just a performance or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's tough to connect with and relate to.
Yeah. Because everybody's got a boss and they don't want to piss. And Michael Kay, actually does a pretty good job of this, because it's not often that you could be the voice of the Yankees and have a radio show where people call in and do nothing but bitch. And he's got to like kind of agree with them, but also still toe the line, because he's got, again,
his
an employer.
They're still the Yes Network.
But he does a pretty good job. But yeah, it's one of those things where, where the money is, and you kind of have to toe the line, at least within a certain degree.
I mean, honestly, you talked about it, or at least we talked about it on Sticks in the past, like the guy, John Boy Media, those guys who got super popular during the Houston Astros because they kind of brought to light the trash can cheating situation.
They found like the first video. I mean, there was a pitcher who kind of like whistle blew the whole thing, but they found video evidence of like, look, this is them doing it.
Right.
Kind of,
And they were free, like, not freelance, but they were their own individual open source. They're doing their own thing, and they blew up. And now they're working for Yes Network, and it's like, I don't pay attention to them as much anymore, because there was a noticeable change that they had to make in order to keep that gravy train going.
Right.
And I understand I'm not blaming them.
Everybody wants to get paid, right? Yeah.
I'm not saying they're pieces of garbage,
no.
and stuff. It's like,
you want the money.
That's what you want. You want to blow up to that point where it's like you're getting all these offers from big timers.
Sure.
But what the consequences of that are also
yeah,
like
it affects the material. It affects the
right.
material. Yeah.
So,
By the way, if you hear like some moaning or it's a dog. That's,
yeah, I don't know if the mics are picking up the dogs in the background, but
they're in
front
timeout.
behind camera in timeout. So I don't know if you guys hear that on the mics or not, but that's what it is. It's not
dogs.
It's just dogs.
Yeah,
Nothing crazy going on here in the dungeon. But anyway, that's kind of like what I want to do. What I want to try to do with the Yankees. I'll probably start it once a week just to, because the games, they're 162 games. If this was all I was doing, absolutely I would do that. But it's not all I'm doing. So I got to make sure it works so I can stay consistent and also give people a good product.
Well, that's it, right? You want to make sure it's like something that people are interested in. And again, that's like maybe it becomes a monetary thing down the road, but first focus is like, let's make this an enjoyable thing and like just have fun. Like, if nothing comes of it, then so what? But it's still fun.
I'm not looking for anything to come of it, but besides combining things I enjoy.
Right.
I love baseball. I like watching the Yankees, even though they stink. And I like doing content for people that we can connect with because it's nice to be able to like have a conversation with the Bone Crusher about something I talked about on an episode, so we're staying connected. It's nice to have my buddy Steve McStiff in the Air Force, who I haven't seen in person in years, be able to text me about like, oh, I heard what you said about the Patriots or whatever I was talking about and this and that, and we're staying connected. I like being able to do that. And if this is another avenue to combine things I enjoy, I'm going to be selfish.
I think it's
great.
To do it. I think it's great.
And if it's live, I can get questions like in between pitches. People can chime in.
That would be really cool.
I want to do that too because you don't get that on a regular broadcast. So instead of filling the silence with bullshit about, I'm not going to break down Anthony Volpe's swing. I couldn't care less about his swing. It thinks.
That's the breakdown.
But if I can get some people's questions or comments, we can
make it like an open forum.
Open forum. So I'd like to be able to do that. And
I think it's great. Of course,
if I can bring the bullpen GM in on it every once in a while on a stream.
Like I said, I would be thrilled to do it, especially like in a non-committal kind of way.
It's like whatever. Like
I think it's
depending on the game we pick and your life schedule and what's the timing of all that stuff combined. Like I'm not gonna be like, hey, we're doing this every week. You got it. You agreed. It's like, no.
Well, even still,
are you around? Cool. Let's do this.
Well, like I said, it's not like you have to twist my arm. I
know you want to do it.
You nailed it. Like I love baseball. I can talk. I mean, I know you mentioned a couple days ago we wanted to talk like the Yankees. My only biggest fear, so to speak, is like getting too much into the weeds where it's like, okay, this is LPDS. It's not bullpen GM, and I don't want to like start spewing like. I don't think they care about WRC plus and stuff like that. So I almost want to make it so, yes, we could talk baseball, but also don't get so far in that people start, having their eyes glaze over and out of boredom and shit.
Yeah, well, here's the thing with that. One, if it's on like a Yankees broadcast stream that we're doing, that's a different story. There's probably going to be more baseball fans that chime in.
Yeah.
And two, I get that. I'm a similar situation.
What the fuck is that noise?
Garage.
Oh yeah, you're right. Sorry. Place is haunted.
It's a similar situation with the topics I pick for LPDS. It's like I don't want to bore people and stuff, but I'm going to talk about what I enjoy, and if that's what you connect with, great.
Yeah.
Also, if I talk about my life and things like that, like again, it's a chance for me to connect with others, for them to find out what's going on with my world too. At the end of the day, there's always going to be somebody get bored, a hater, someone who dislikes the shit. So when I want you, like when I have you on the show and you're able to do it, we're talking like we're having conversation that we want to have.
Right.
If we're getting in the weeds on WRC plus and shit like that, if they don't like it,
I guess they can find another podcast. Yeah, that's a good way to
shitbag. No, I love the LPDS universe, but they also have an off button. They can fast forward to the next chapter. I put the YouTube chapters on so they can skip ahead if they don't like the particular topic. I try to give them options, but at the end of the day, it's like you're tuning in to listen to me talk.
So shut the fuck up and listen. No,
and if you're if you're paying me, maybe I'll fall in line a little bit more.
Yeah,
Let's talk turkey.
Yeah.
But right now, there's no turkey.
There's
no
no
gravy. There's no mashed potatoes. There's no nothing.
Yeah, you're just gonna listen to me talk.
Right, you're gonna get what you get.
That's right.
So,
no, that's a good way of looking at it. Like, like you said, you make the content that you want to create, and if people are into it, great. If they're not, that's okay too.
That's fine too. Yeah. Now I did speaking of popularity and stuff, I posted the most recent episode, and Spotify, when I post it on Apple and Spotify, they'll pop up some tips and tricks, and they're like, hey, just to let you know, when I posted the most recent one, just to let you know, the average amount of followers and subscribers to a show like yours is around 60 people. You're at 27. So here's some tips and tricks to try to get people to follow and not just listen. I was like,
what were the tricks?
It was like, make sure you time when you say like and subscribe, do it in the beginning, do it in the middle, do it in the end. And it's like, and I get it. And I know it would probably work a little bit better to remind people, and then also put out clips and ads, like do all the extra work. And I don't disagree with it, but it's also, I don't have the time to do that.
Right.
And this is not my full-time job.
Well, there's probably some corners you can cut here, like Taylor Swift, do a couple of those.
Yeah, I'll make that if there's
butts cleavage, Taylor Swift.
Yeah, they love that stuff. Yeah. Now I will probably do an LPDS episode soon enough about the Taylor documentary that just came out on Disney Plus.
Yeah. Which you're actually, I will have to say, and I feel like, there's no clout chasing here. Like, you're actually into this stuff, and you actually are trying to learn about this stuff.
I like the lore stuff. I'm big on the side, like the secret missions and the hidden intel that you can gather on that shit. So
got some bangers. I wouldn't say I love, but like
I love some of her songs are like good, really solid.
Yeah, Cool Summer it really gets me going in the gym.
Yeah, and again, it's something that I can have a conversation with others about and relate to their journeys in this world, and it's been fun. I've had no real hate from it. I had one troll that was commenting on the YouTube episode.
Right, yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
And they were clearly a troll. I went to their YouTube page and saw like they don't post anything. They don't have a picture. They have a generic username. It's like, oh, you're probably a bot or whatever.
Well, the thing about those Swifties is they really came to your defense on that one too, which I think is fascinating, because they're like, listen, you don't get to tell somebody when they're into this and when they're not into this. If he's saying he wants to be a part of this, then let him. Again, there's no velvet rope here where you got to pay a fee in order to get in.
Yeah, and that's what I enjoyed too. I felt a little bit more welcome, because I know when you have a fandom of any sort, we've seen it with sports and the Yankees, even the Met fans and stuff. It's like, if you get perceived as a bandwagon fan for any reason, you're going to get lit up by these people who claim to be like original OGs. I was a fan way before when they stunk, and you only like it because they're good. And it's like, that was something I considered. Not that I care too much about it. Like, if I get hate from it, I'm going to get hate, whatever. But I was pleasantly surprised that nobody was like, oh, you're only getting on the bandwagon because she's super popular now. I thought I did a decent enough job communicating, like, I never disliked her. I'm just now getting into it, and I'm enjoying the journey, like the new.
That's also how stuff works. It's like, are you jumping on the bandwagon of a television show? No, everyone keeps talking about it, so I figure I guess I better check this out myself.
Check it out.
That's how it works.
Right. Look at like any show, any sports team or whatever. It's like the first couple seasons, maybe the first season or whatever, first couple episodes, it's like, it's all right. And then word of mouth starts spreading. Like, you have to watch this show. Like, how many times have I heard about Succession, the show on Apple TV with that Ben Stiller produced?
Severance.
Severance. All these shows, like, you hear, like, I hear about them from people who are already fan. They got in early. Good for them.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Right.
Now I'm jumping in.
Sure. And there's nothing wrong with that.
No. Now there is a difference between that and people who are purposely like getting on and putting on Yankee jerseys, like when the Yankees were good, like or when the Cowboys were good at football. Like, there's definitely that. I still don't care. You want to go spend the money on a Yankee jersey a Judge jersey because he breaks records or whatever, that's your journey.
Right.
Whatever.
Yeah.
I'm still going to be here when they stink.
Right. Which they've been doing a lot
Which
of.
has been a lot.
There's no bandwagon
Right.
lately. You're coming in at a good time if you want to avoid the bandwagon stigma.
Yeah, don't worry. Like, trust me, the Yanks nobody should be turning you away at this point right now. So it's whatever. I used to think when I was younger, I used to be like, oh, you only like the Yankees because they're winning World Series and you're a piece of garbage. And it's like, well, I was also in middle school. When adults do it now, that's what I think of, like, oh, you're acting like a middle schooler.
Right. Yeah.
Like, why are you doing that?
Sure.
But I was happy about the Taylor Swift community bringing me into the fold.
Yeah,
they still get, if you look at when I look at my analytics, it always pops up on the dashboard like recently viewed, and I get at least 4 views on one of the Taylor episodes a day still.
Yeah.
So they're still chiming in and getting involved. So when I watch that documentary, I don't have Disney Plus. I'm gonna have to go to my sister's and watch it. Probably in secret.
I watched a couple parts of it. I fell asleep through it, not because of the material being boring. It was just a rough time.
Late night shift and stuff like that. Yeah. But so I'm absolutely gonna be late to the game. I already seen people put out full podcast episodes of the first 2 episodes that came out and their thoughts and analysis and the secret Easter eggs that might be in there and this and that. It's like I'm gonna be way behind as usual, but that will be a future LPDS discussion.
Yeah.
And I got a lot of new followers and subscribers on YouTube from that, so they'll be excited for that.
And now they're LPDS, lifers, and now they tune in every week, and now they can listen to us talk about baseball or
whatever I'm ranting about
or whatever it is.
Yeah. Now, to be honest, and not that I'm calling them out or think that like we're trying to pressure them, like they're certainly not listening to non-Taylor episodes of LPDS based on the numbies, but that's fine. I don't care, I'm going for at this point, I feel like I'm going for the record for most consecutive episodes, like under 100 viewings on YouTube.
It's a process. We'll get there.
It's definitely a process. I was actually talking about it on the most recent episode about this dude, Chris Williamson.
Don't know him.
You might have seen clips of his. He's a British guy. He has his own podcast. He started out years ago on like Love Island, and he started his own podcast. I don't know, maybe 6, 7, 8 years ago, something like that. And he talked about how like the first 5 years of him doing his show, nobody watched.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, I don't know if he had like a certain guest on for an interview or what happened, but now he's averaging like 100,000 views on YouTube alone per episode. He's been on Rogan a few times. So it's just...
Yeah, it's a process. And then pretty soon when LPDS blows up, you'll have the same thing. You'll have the OGs, and then you'll have the so-called bandwagons that jump in. But it's like, hey, man, this is a open community, baby. Anybody and everybody's welcome.
Has infinite space.
Yeah.
And that's something I'm excited about, too, is as I grow Spearhead, that's going to give me a lot of time and financial freedom to do more with LPDS, too.
Sure.
So I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
But I do want to talk about Yankee stuff specifically because we got the winter meetings. There's been some moves already with other teams that I'm sure connect with.
Emphasis on the other teams.
Yeah. Well, that's what
other teams are doing.
I definitely want to talk about that. But we got a cage fact. So let's get into the good stuff first. Let's step into the cage.
Okay, let's run.
All right.
I don't think it's going to be a great one.
Today's Into the Cage segment is proudly sponsored by Bums on Baseball, the all-new Tony Rigatoni podcast where he gets all the latest baseball takes from the experts on the streets, the Bums. From learning about the recent Yankee trades from Possum Paul, getting Tent City Charlie's thoughts on the Pete Alonso deal, and even Stinky Sam's take on Giancarlo Stanton, you'll get it all and more as Tony hits the streets each week for Bums on Baseball. Tune into Apple, Spotify, or YouTube for each week, and if you comment trades, deals, spare change, you'll get 29% off your Bums on Baseball merchandise purchases.
I mean, we be talking about bullpen GM. I don't know that I can compete with the experts.
No, look. You can join Tony Riggs, or you can get out of his way.
Yeah.
You certainly can't compete with Tony Riggs's hustle and his ability to be creative with the moral and ethical fabric of society to make a quick buck.
Yeah. Well, there's some topics in there that are a little polarizing, but there's nothing polarizing about Giancarlo. When you ask them, there should be only one answer and one answer only.
Right. Yeah. And I guess we'll find out from Stinky Pete or whoever the hell. Who was it? Stinky Sam. Look. I think
these are the jokes, folks.
if done right and with respect, like I don't remember if I ever talked about it on an episode.
We talked about this so many times. Yeah.
But if you provided them like a meal, some water, like compensate them for their time and take care of them, and don't do it like that guy did with bum fights.
Right. Yeah. You're not exploiting it.
You're not exploiting.
This is a business transaction.
It's a complete business transaction. If they're not comfortable doing it, you just move on. Okay, we're not shoving a camera in their face to get clicks. But I think if we do it right like that, and we're having a conversation with them, these poor bastards, some of them are just they're getting ignored all the time, and unfortunately. There are enough like POS bums out there that ruin the reputation of the bums that are just trying.
They ruin the good bum name.
The good bum name.
Yeah.
So then you get in a position where it's like you're ignoring all the bums because you don't want to risk dealing with a feisty
dice. Yeah, right. Yeah.
And now the good bums are getting bummed out. So if we could find a way to help, like. Give them some food, some drinks, maybe a couple bucks, or find out what they need. Like you need socks, you need shoes, whatever. Let's get your take on Giancarlo. Like,
right. Yeah.
Was he like? How much of him do you think was made in a lab?
Right. Yeah.
And like, hey, do you want to? Like, we got a wiffle ball and a bat. Do you want to take a couple hacks?
Yeah. Show us what Volpe is doing wrong with his lower half. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Well, let's see what he got. Can you go to the opposite field? Like, show us a bunt with a guy on second and less than 2 out. Like, we got to get this runner over. Like, how would you approach this thing?
Yeah.
And have some fun with it, and then record it.
I mean, I think it's great content.
Yeah. And if somebody feels exploited, we don't show this stuff. Maybe like we don't. Well, okay, we won't publicize your
right
your this clip here.
But then you don't get the food and you have to fight each other.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Then like give me back that water and that guy's got to punch you. like Stinky Pete's going in on you. Anyway, the Cage fact here. There was a recent article that just came out. It was like an opinion piece, really. This clown. I think he had good intentions, but it was an article talking about questioning why Nic Cage is prioritizing doing the Lord of War remake because they're in production and filming for that, as opposed to the Face Off sequel that's been in talks that they talked about. We've had that that Cage fact a while ago. And he went on, he had a whole article about like, Lord of War was good, but it doesn't have the numbies that Face Off has as far as an action movie. Like across the board, Face Off is a more popular, better movie that he should be remaking first. Lord of War is good and all, and the fans liked it, and it will be a good remake, but this and that. And it was like, hey, dude, like Nic Cage is not, he didn't write Face Off 2. He didn't write Lord of War 2. He's an employee.
Right.
Like he's not sitting there like, no, I refuse to do Lord of War 2 until Face Off gets like finished in production or whatever.
Let's not say that he couldn't do that because he has the pool.
No, he definitely could.
But he just chooses not to.
Right. And I honestly, and if I was in his position, I wouldn't either. It's hey, I don't want to rush something like a Face-Off sequel. We've talked about that a lot. That has to be done right. That movie was so out of control and one of a kind that if you're gonna tease a sequel,
it's got to be done right.
You better not blow this like to smithereens. You better not ruin this shit. And if he's gonna wield his influence and rush that, like I think he knows that it would be a disservice to the franchise and to his body of work. So I just got angry, like not angry, but like, hey, dude, what do you think what do you expect him to do?
Yeah.
Go on strike until Face Off 2 is ready to film? Like, come on, let him do Lord of War. Like you said, it's gonna be a good sequel.
It's a great movie. I love the Lord of War.
It was a great movie.
Yeah.
I don't think Jared Leto's gonna be in it. So that's good.
Yeah.
So he's not going to Morbius this movie.
Yeah, he's not going to be a gangster Joker in it.
Right. Yeah, so that'll be good. So and what's his name is in it too? Skarsgård, the clown from It.
Oh yeah.
He's been in another bunch of really good movies. Like he's a good actor. The whole Skarsgård family or however you pronounce the name, they're all quality guys. So just
let the artist make his art.
Yeah, like and again, you're sitting there in left field making all these criticism like he had any say at all. Like, oh no, I'm doing Lord of War first. Like, no, he didn't do that. Lord of War is ready. Yeah, and he's like, I'm ready.
I'm ready too. Yeah, that was a great movie. I can't wait for it.
No, I'm excited for that. He's got a lot of other stuff coming out. I talked about last week. The Carpenter's Son is now streaming on Amazon. You can rent it or buy it. So. I've heard, again, I'm repeating myself from last week, but
it bears repeating.
I heard there was pretty good critic reviews of the movie.
Yeah,
there's a couple of the Catholic haters because it's horror Jesus.
Well, it sounds great to me.
Yeah, I ever listened to that.
Yeah, right.
On movies.
Yeah, I don't go for Rotten Tomatoes. I go for the Catholic.
I'm looking at what the church is saying about it. No thanks. So. I'll probably watch that when I'm back in Jersey in the dungeon.
Can't wait for that review.
Yeah. Speaking of which, I'm a little torn on the dungeon now. Back in my parents' house.
Why is that?
They redid the whole thing. So on one hand, it's a room now. Painted white. The ceilings don't have any, the ceilings are covered now. The insulation is put in. There's actual floors. It's a room. So it'll look good aesthetically, but I think it lost that dungeon feel.
Yeah.
It was cold. There was rodents. You can hear them clicking through around the walls and stuff. It was a dungeon.
Right.
We call it a dungeon because that's what it was.
That's what it was, right?
And I understand if it was my house, I'm probably keeping it a dungeon longer. But maybe I'll fix it up before I sell a house.
Maybe get rid of the rodents, but everything else stays.
Yeah, I'll set traps. That's what I did at the house for my parents was set traps, got rid of the rodent problem. But it was a fun dungeon feel to it.
Yeah.
And I understand my parents, my mom wants a livable space.
Well, do you think this is their way of digging their claws in, try to get you come on, Johnny?
So that's what my old man, JPL3, and I were having that conversation a little while ago because she was hell bent on getting the floors in because it just had the basement floor and it was painted a dark color. It wasn't just cement, but it was still a cement floor.
Right.
And she's like, no, I'm going to get the fake wood, snap-in ones or whatever. And she was telling me oh, it's only going to cost this much to get the guy to come do it. And I was like, it's a basement.
It's a basement, right?
Who cares? Put some rugs down and whatever. She's like, no, I want it to be a full room and the bathroom's redone. And then we can clean out this other room. It can become a bedroom or right now it's our disorganized wine cellar. But the room was built down there for a bedroom. And I was talking to JPL3 and he's like, she's trying to pull you. And I was like, I said, you better watch it, old man, because she thinks she's pulling me in, but you know who she's going to really pull in? Sticks. Sticks. I said, you better hope he gets engaged and married to his girlfriend. They're actually getting ready to move in together soon.
Oh, nice. Congrats, Nick. Sticks.
At the end of this month, they got a nice little townhouse they're renting. But I said, you better hope that sticks because she's doing all this work to make this a nice livable space, and guess who's right down the road, and he's aching.
Yeah.
He's aching for cutlets every day.
I was gonna say, you better have some chicken parm ready to go.
Yeah, he is aching to not have to just be taken care of.
Yeah.
So I said you're playing a dangerous game. So you should be doing everything you can in your power to campaign to push back this floor install. Because as soon as he sees this, it's cozy.
Yeah.
The heat's working better. The bedroom area is getting clean. She just bought a chair on Amazon that's coming in. That's a chair to watch TV, but it also pulls out to a single bed.
Ooh,
nice. I was like, he doesn't have to share the bathroom with you guys. He can just come up, get his meal from mom, and then go back down to the basement, and he'll be loving life. He's got 2 refrigerators down there. Like, you are setting yourself up for a disaster.
You're selling me on it. If the going rate is sling a few rocks at some bears, that's all it cost me.
Yeah,
I think I might have to take you up on it.
Full of slingshot pellets at the deer and the bear.
Yeah. That's scare off the wildlife for JPL3. I think you might get me to move in.
Yeah, and with the new ceiling, you probably won't hear my mom yell at the game anymore, like when the Yanks are on.
Yeah, rooting against the players.
Right, yeah.
Even though she's a Yankee fan.
Yeah, so you're not going to hear that as much. It's a nice setup. Look, I'm knocking on the door of 40.
Yeah.
I can't. If it was a situation where I'm taking care of them, and it's like when my grandparents moved in with us, it's like they were both dealing with cancer treatments and stuff. They couldn't live on their own.
Right.
That's one thing. Like, for cutlets,
I don't know, man. I've had her cooking. It's pretty damn good, man. She gave me some meat sauce one time. Woo.
It was dangerous.
There's no shame in it.
I saw the after effects of that song.
Yeah. It was deadly.
So I don't know. Obviously we'll have the LPDS episodes coming up.
I'm excited to see what it looks like. Yeah.
I'll figure out a way to set up the camera to really explore the space as much as possible. But I got a new camera. We talked about it, I think, in the beginning. I got a new webcam. I used my my credit card points because I didn't have the money otherwise. But this is a nice 4K webcam. I got it because it's great for recording stuff and for the streaming opportunity.
Right.
So this should be good. It's a little different now because we're kind of zoomed out to explore this space a little bit. But I think it's going to be a good setup. I'll get the dungeon set up. I have a couple of different tripods I can use depending on what we got space-wise down there now. So it should be a good time. But the yelling at the sports thing, I think, is going to be a little bit quieter.
Yeah,
so that'll be good. But speaking of sports, though, she's, every day that some other team is making a move right now, she's hitting me up like, where are the Yankees moves?
Yeah. But listen, Howie does the same thing. He hits me up. Oh, I hit him up. He never calls me. He won't do that. Unless if I got a phone call from him, I'm assuming the worst. Yeah. I call him and he answers the phone. He doesn't answer it hello. He answers trades or deals. Sorry, old man, I got nothing. Not even rumors. There's nothing.
No rumor. No.
Yeah.
And I told her about the Trent Grisham thing. I talked about that here. But I talked to her because she likes Trent Grisham. I like Trent Grisham.
I like Trent Grisham.
But so when she saw they signed Trent Grisham, great. I said, listen, you're going to get angry.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, right? Like, I like Trent Grisham, and they have Trent Grisham for one more year. But when I tell you the situation, you're going to get angry.
Right.
And I need you to either take a deep breath or make sure you're not in public, because I don't want curse words and slurs and stuff to start,
Or maybe we do.
Yeah. Like, I don't have bail money when you get arrested at ShopRite or something, wherever you're at, and she was not happy about that situation. But I wanted to get your take on that, because I have my own idea of what went down and how it went down, but I also know I'm not as educated on it. Like, I discussed how the qualifying offers work, but I don't know the details. Like, is a qualifying offer, does that monetary amount, is that for every player? So if it was Aaron Judge, the qualifying offer would have been $22 million.
Correct. Yes. So the way it's set up, I forget the exact rules, but it's based on like it's not an average of the salary, but there's like a percentage of like what the league makes, and that's how it's set. And yes, like it's $22 million for everybody. It gets extended to them on a 1 year, $22 million. Next year it might be 24, 23, whatever it is. So
the MLB kind of dictate their algorithm dictate that amount.
Because what it used to be a long time ago was it used to be you just have to offer somebody arbitration. And if that's the case, that can have widely varying values. It could be like it could be 25 million, 30 million if it's Aaron Judge. It'll also be like 5 million if it's a much lesser player. And they would get draft picks in return for that if the player turns it down. So you'd end up with teams who are getting like 12 compensation picks because they offer all their players arbitration and they all turn it down. So this, the fact that it's so high now, it sort of limits who you can extend it to, because obviously if you find yourself in a situation where we want the draft pick for losing this guy, we also don't really want him to take it. It really requires some critical thinking as far as is it worth it? You're right, for the team.
Yeah.
Do we want to extend this offer? We couldn't, like the Yankees wouldn't extend it to Devin Williams, or somebody like that.
Clay Holmes.
Yeah, right. Because he's obviously going to take it. So now you have a player that's costing you $22 million and you're not getting that draft pick. So you really have to kind of decide, is this player worth extending it to?
Now, where does the draft pick come from? The MLB is just...
there's a compensation round, and I don't believe it's like in the first round anymore. Like you have the first round, and then you have some like I'm not gonna be able to say that word. A compensation round basically afterwards, where it's like between 1 and 2, where you can start to collect those picks.
Okay, but so it's not coming from another team. So like
they do. It's based on where you are in the luxury tax. So depending on where you are in the tax penalties, you have to forfeit certain picks. Like if you're in the upper echelon, plus like if you're repeat offenders, if you've gone above the luxury tax multiple years in a row, your consequences for draft picks are more severe. Okay. So it's not like you had the 6th pick and now it goes to the team that you stole the player from.
Yeah,
it's not like that anymore. There's a lot of protected picks as well. So like if you're a small market team and you get one of these guys, your top 10 are going to be protected and things like that. So there's a lot of moving parts. But a lot of it has to depend on where you are in the luxury tax penalties and how often you've not violated, but exceeded those limits, how severe your penalty is.
Yeah. So now, based on what I'm hearing right now, it sounded like the way they've built qualifying offers this day and age, it should have deterred anybody from offering this to Trent Grisham specifically, because he's gonna take that, and now you're not getting a pick. You're filling a spot that you could have gotten with somebody, another deal,
right? And
you're hamstringing yourself financially, because that's not deferred money,
right?
That's $22 million that season. So now your 2026 season budget or luxury cap or whatever is shorter. It's less availability of money for that season because of that.
Right. And that was the intent, because like I said, back a certain amount of time ago, when everybody was getting these
arbitration offers?
Yeah, these arbitration offers, they were all getting these picks attached to them, and that would keep other teams from being interested in them, because like you said, it doesn't just cost money, it also costs us draft picks. So the whole point was to make it much more selective for who gets it, because that would then like increase the earning power of players.
Those players.
Like in the old days, in theory, if somebody like Trent Grisham could hit the open market, then like other teams would be like, oh yes, we do want him, but we don't want to give up the pick, so we're not going to be as interested. Whereas in theory, if the Yankees never offered it to him, his market would be a little bit more available to other teams.
Because they don't have to give.
They don't have to give up.
They can just buy him essentially.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. But what's frustrating about that, and it confirms my frustration, was that in what world is Trent Grisham worth $22 million a year?
Yeah.
And I like we said, I like Trent Grisham, but he had a career season last year, and he still batted like 240, 250 or whatever it was, which is league average.
Right.
His career season was a league average season, above average home runs. He had some clutch hits too, like clutch home runs, you can argue, but his career season offensively was an average baseball player's season.
Right.
So he's not a $22 million a year player.
So there is some metrics you could use. And again, this is getting into the weeds, and it depends on whether or not you want to listen to this or not, where you could argue that in theory, Trent Grisham did produce that monetary value last year. So if you want to look at how teams spend their money on production, and again, this is going to make you sort of bored, but this isn't really my opinion. This is what teams are actually doing.
Yeah.
This is what's happening. Is when you look at it strictly through free agency, we're not talking about like Paul Skeens, who is still under team control and he's making well less than what he's actually earning or what he should be earning, or guys that filed signed extensions with their team. We're talking about true outright free agents who can sign with anybody, and that's how you get a real reflection of what their market value is.
Yeah.
Teams are roughly spending, and this is actually outdated. This was from a few years ago. It's probably higher now, but even using outdated information, teams were using or basically spending $8 million for one win above replacement, which we all know is like the golden stat nowadays, is wins above replacement, WAR for short. So essentially, if you look at a guy like Trent Grisham, who's worth, the last season that he had was worth, between 3 and 4 WAR at $8 million a year, you're actually talking about, okay, like he's
$24 million,
right,
maybe,
right,
$30 million.
So, you kind of have to look at it as either, through a couple different lenses. One, like, is Trent Grisham the guy we saw last year, which we don't know, right? Like ideally, and this is why it was kind of dumb if the Yankees did indeed think that the Trent Grisham was going to turn this down, why it was stupid thinking, because he's 28, 29 years old. So in theory, if he repeats this year, then he's going to hit the open market again at 29, 30 and still be like available for a 5-6 year kind of deal. And he can show to other teams that, yes, I am in fact this player now, and this wasn't right. It wasn't a fluke. And then he can earn much more, a higher contract. That thinking that he was going to turn this down was probably, yes, it's hindsight, but it was also dumb. But not only that, I mean, again, this takes a lot of like breaking down how the Yankees are spending their money.
Yeah.
Because in the grand scheme of things, their payroll is still over $300 million. They still spend, but it's like, why do they still stink? Like, yes, they win 94 games, they make the playoffs, but something is missing here, right? Like, clearly it's been, at least for me, since like 2018, where I really thought this is a team that's capable of winning a World Series. And in that year, they met a Red Sox team that beat the shit out of them, and that's the way it goes. Right. But at least they had a team that was, like, in my mind, was capable of winning. Whereas ever since then, it seems like they're slowly digressing, and they're not like or regressing. Like they're just not getting to where they want to be.
They seem to care less and less about having a team that can compete in the playoffs. It seems that they care more about their theory of the playoffs being a crapshoot.
Right.
Like they're really digging their heels in that idea of like, it doesn't matter. Like the playoffs is a complete crapshoot. Therefore, why would we spend our time and money on players that can quote unquote compete in a crapshoot?
Right.
When we need to get to the like we care about getting to the playoffs. After that, it's gravy.
Right. Which like there's some truth to it.
I just don't think it's that.
It's not that
build their team around.
Right. Like in 2023, it was the Diamondbacks versus the Texas Rangers in the World Series, and I think we can all agree that those were not the two best representatives of their leagues. No. So yes, there is some randomness to it whenever you play a 5-game series or a 7-game series. That there's anybody can be Sandy Koufax for a night. Whereas like 162, you kind of fall back on the sample size thing. And like, so the Yankees have sort of like, been able to come up with this formula where they do win more games than they lose. And that typically gives them, a chance at the postseason, but something is missing here.
Right. I don't know, maybe you probably have a better thought on this. It also seems like they're not adjusting their game plan enough in the playoffs. They're still playing more towards
sample size, right?
Yeah, they're like it seems like they're using the wrong sample size.
Sure.
They're not using a playoff smaller sample size or a different. They're I know, and I know that they're probably restricted to the team they have. They have like an offensively home run hitting team, like and the math makes sense. Like if you hit more home runs than the other team,
score more runs. Yeah,
you're gonna score. Like odds are you're gonna win those
Sure.
games.
Yeah.
It usually happens. Even in the playoffs, it still happens. But the sample size of the playoffs it's not 162 games.
Right.
You have to go, in my mind, like almost series by series, and it's like look at the team's cycle throughout the regular season. There were weeks where they were not hitting home runs a game, or maybe getting one home run or whatever. And it seems like they're not taking that into account when it comes to the playoffs, where it's like, hey, what if your team is not hitting the home run that they need to for 5 games straight, which has happened multiple times in the regular season. What are you going to do then? How are you going to adjust? And it just doesn't seem like they're adjusting to that.
Well, I think the most frustrating part for me is that you can build this team, or you have this formula that does work for both. Like, yes, they've hacked the formula to win over 162 games. It doesn't seem to work in small playoff series. You could build your team for the playoffs that's also still good over the course of 162. Right. Like, it doesn't have to be one or the other. And it kind of goes back to the way that they're spending their money, and like going back to Trent Grisham and like the Josh Donaldson trade and things like that, where you kind of sit back and scratch your head. Like, Anthony Rizzo is another good example. They seem to want to spend their money in a very risk adverse kind of way, where they are almost afraid of the long-term deal. They want to stick with, a 1 to 2, maybe 3-year deal. That way they don't get caught on the backside of a long-term deal where the player is no longer who he...
Sure.
But here's the problem with this. And again, I'm going to get into the weeds a little bit, but let's... we're there, baby.
Yeah, I love the weeds.
Yeah.
I'm a weeds guy.
I'm a trench guy. So let's use Aaron Judge as an example, okay? And I get it. It's kind of a silly example because he's a generational player, so it's easy. But let's just use him as an example.
He's also a popular guy, so the whole LPDS community
can kind of understand
Aaron Judge.
So going into the 23 season, he signed his 9-year, $360 million deal.
Yeah.
No deferments, no front loading, no back loading. It is a straight $40 million per year.
Right.
So, which, by the way, and this is just my opinion, I don't have any insider information, but based on the way the negotiations were handled and based off of Brian Cashman's kind of track record, I kind of get the sense, excuse me, that he probably didn't even want to go there with Judge, that it got to an extent where he's like, I give him my best offer. If he doesn't take it, then we move on. And it had to be Hal Steinbrenner that stepped in that says, no, we need to keep this, which that would be like the one thing. I actually kind of think Hal Steinbrenner is a good owner. I think he makes mistakes, Brian Cashman being one of them.
Yes.
And that's one that kind of goes back. I mean, I read The Yankee Way, which was a book about Brian Cashman's tenure. And this goes all the way back to George Steinbrenner, and who was a guy who fired anybody and everybody. I mean, he fired Stick Michael, who's like the golden guy.
You can argue he's the guy who created
the dynasty.
And
right.
Cashman was hanging on the coattails.
Yeah, right. Yeah, he fired Yogi Berra as a manager. This is a guy who fired everybody.
Fired Billy Martin like 16 times.
Right. But he never fired Brian Cashman. So this is like something that's been going on forever, and you kind of want to know why.
Yeah.
Anyways, you take Aaron Judge.
Don't ask my mom why.
Yeah.
You want to get her.
You want to compromise photos.
Yeah.
Same reason why Brett Gardner was the left fielder for 20 years.
Yeah, he had dirty photos of the Steinbrenners doing stuff.
So you take Aaron Judge as an example. 9 years, $40 million per year, $360 million in total. Aaron Judge signed that deal when he was 31 years old. So as good as Aaron Judge is, and he's fucking amazing, right? He's once in a generational. By the time he's all said and done, he may be one of the best right-handed hitters of all time.
Yeah.
He is not going to be this when he's 36, 37, 38. It's not going to happen.
Right.
Or maybe it does, and it'll be great, but if history is any indicator, it's probably not going to be the case. And a lot of times what happens is you get to that point and you say, well, this is why you don't do the long-term deals, because it inevitably ends up like this.
Right.
The problem is, not the problem, the pushback is Aaron Judge is not worth $40 million a year. Aaron Judge is worth closer to like $80 million a year.
Yeah.
Right? But based on what we were talking about earlier with the $8 million per one WAR, Aaron Judge is putting up 10, 11 WAR seasons.
It's crazy.
It's insane what he's doing. He's already earned more than half of his contract in the first 3 years.
The Yankees already got their money back basically from that deal that is not even, they haven't even finished yet, but they already got your.
They're already getting a ton of that value up front because of how good that he actually is. So like when that time comes and he's 37, 38 and he's no longer the player that he is, and before you say, well, this is why long-term deals never work out, hold on a second. It does work out. It's just not spread nice and neat over those 9 years.
Right.
In order for Judge to be worth $40 million, he'd have to regress significantly. And if he does, he'd still be a good player, but he wouldn't be. Guy won a batting title and hit 50-something home runs this year. It's incredible. Every year you think he can't possibly get better, he finds a way to get better.
Right.
So with this in mind, knowing that you're getting all the surplus value up front, when you sign a guy like that, you want to compliment him early, right? Knowing that he's part of this
downfall,
right? He's part of this. Well, it is a downfall. Yeah, it's a regression. He's part of the solution now. Pretty soon, he's going to be part of the problem. You want to It's kind of like if you walk into a furniture store and you see a couch that you like for $2,400. Right? You can either buy the couch outright for $2,400, or they have some sort of holiday special, 0% financing, just give us $100 a month for the next 2 years. Mm-hmm. That gives you some flexibility to add a coffee table, an entertainment center. You can complement those pieces. That's why Aaron Judge is signed to a 9-year deal. It's easier to think of these free agents in terms of, are they going to be worth the overall money that they're signing to rather than the individual like annual salaries?
Right.
Is Aaron Judge going to be worth $360 million? No fucking question he's going to be.
Yeah.
He's probably going to earn that by, like we said, year 5, year 6.
He's very close to already getting money back for them.
So
he hasn't already.
With that, so the length of years is more beneficial to the team because nobody wants to give the guy $80 million
that he's worth. It's like if it was a 3-year deal for Judge, we're talking 80, 90 million for 3 years, non-deferred. And now it's like, now I have no money to add to the team.
You can't add those complementary pieces.
Right.
So the 9-year deal makes it more flexible for the team to go out and add that coffee table and entertainment center. And that's where the Yankees are kind of messing up, is that they're not complementing.
They're not adding the coffee table.
They're not. And not only that, but it's not even a perfect analogy because in that, the couch has an expiration date. Pretty soon it's going to be lumpy and you're not going to want to sit on it. And now it's like, well, fuck, why did we do that in the first place? Why did we make that investment if we weren't going to add the pieces necessary to get us over the top?
Exactly.
And that's where the Yankees are stuck in. And a lot of it, in my opinion, has to do with these risk-adverse, deals where they want to try to get, on a player on a 2-3 year deal so they can theoretically avoid that backlog. But this is an erroneous way of thinking because those are the guys who are more likely to not pan out. Because the only guys that you can get on a 2 or 3 year deal are the guys like Donaldson who are 35, 36 years old, and they're already kind of there. Right. And you're kind of just praying that they give you a couple more years of defying age. And still producing at a respectable level.
That's not, in my opinion, that's not that Donaldson deal. I liked Donaldson, not with the Yankees. I liked him historically. I liked his attitude.
Sure.
He was a brute. He was a damn good third baseman too.
Right. Yeah, he was.
But that deal in general of like 2 years, the guy is already 37, whatever he was years old. Uh-huh. He's already on the downslide. To your point, the percentages of them defying that historical downside that everybody has are slim to none.
Right.
And you're paying him like he's on the way up still, like he's still in his prime.
Sure.
I felt like that's the opposite of risk averse.
I know.
Buying only
it's
risk.
Crazy, yeah.
I don't understand. Like I never understood that.
Yeah. But it's the moves that they keep on making continuously.
Yeah.
Whereas like the longer term deals is where you get the most of the value, at least at the early beginnings and the middle years.
Right.
And the downside, that's just the way it goes. That's just how it happens.
You can't avoid it. Stop pretending like you can't. Stop trying to make these stupid moves thinking you're avoiding it inevitable anyway.
Yeah. So it's been a lot of that, and that kind of goes back towards, like I said, the Trent Grisham thing, where it's in theory risk adverse because it's only a 1-year deal and we can't get burned on a 1-year deal. Well, yes, you can, especially when you do it year after year after year after year.
Yeah, and
if this 1-year deal doesn't play out with Trent Grisham, then next year you're going to do the same thing with another player where it might not work out. And that's why. So like you take Juan Soto, for example, when he leaves New York, they immediately pivot to their plan B, which in a lot of ways was actually pretty good.
I like the plan. I like what they did.
Getting Bellinger, getting Max Fried, Devin Williams was supposed to be really good. He didn't really work out. But at the time, it was a great move. It was a good pivot. But the problem is now it's a year later, and now we have to do Plan B all over again. Other than Max Fried, Bellinger's now a free agent, and while the Yankees can still bring him back, there's plenty of interest there. They might not be able to get him. Devin Williams is already gone.
Yeah. And they're certainly handcuffing themselves now because they owe $22 million to Trent Grisham.
Right.
And you're trying to also be able to pay for a guy like Bellinger for a longer-term deal.
Which kind of comes back to the whole concept of, is Trent Grisham a bad deal? In itself, no. But also, yes, because the Yankees have this kind of self-imposed budget.
How they've created the process of getting players.
If they were going to have a $450 million payroll this year, Trent Grisham's fine. I don't hate him. He's a good player. He performed well. It's a gamble. Like, yes, he may regress back to his career averages, or maybe he produces the way he did just this year. But if you're on a self-imposed budget and you're telling me that $22 million is allocated to him, $16 million is allocated to Ryan McMahon, it's like, that's a lot of
$16 million for a guy who bats 140.
Right.
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
And now, and I've heard already Cashman say, like, the things he said make me think, like, we got our third baseman.
Oh, yeah. No.
Like, we got our, like, he already said, like, our team, the foundation, we got already a pretty solid foundation. We just need a couple of things here, which also flies in the face of what he said previously, right after the season ended. It was like, expect big moves.
Right.
And then come to winter meetings, and he's like, well, we already got a pretty solid team, so we're going to look for some stuff. But he's already prefacing, like, those big moves I talked about, fuck you guys. There's no big moves.
There's no big moves.
Like Ryan McMahon, that's what we want. Like, he's a good fielder.
Yeah, but that doesn't...
We need good fielders. We need okay fielders that bat more than 140 and get on base and drive in runs and, and Ryan McMahon ain't it.
Yeah, well, he's not going to provide you with $16 million worth of production. No. And again, that's where you look at their team and you go, this is a $300 million payroll, because they continue to make these moves where it's like $16 million going into the 2026 season in its of self is not a lot of money.
No.
The way free agency works and the way salaries are, $16 million isn't a lot of money. But when you have 3 of them,
3, 4, 5 of those guys, but they're also not really worth the $16 million.
Right. Yeah, that's why it adds up. And you look at the Dodgers, whose payroll is obviously higher, but also why it seems to continue to work out for them is because they're going for these longer term deals, Yamamoto and Shohei and all these players where they're actually making below what they're producing. And that's why it's working out for them, where the Yankees are going the other side. They're avoiding these long-term deals and they're paying a premium in order to do it.
I also think too with I think there's another risk of a short-term deal where if they gave Judge a 2-year deal at whatever, or if anybody gave a guy like Judge a 2-year deal, and then the next year, Soto gets his $760 million deal. Now a guy like Judge, who's clearly better than Soto in every way, shape, or form, and I don't dislike Soto, he's just not nearly
as good.
He's not Aaron Judge. Now that second year comes to fruition, he's a free agent, and now he's asking for $120 million a year, or he's worth $120 million. So you sort of run that risk too.
Oh, there's no risk involved.
Obviously, Ryan McMahon is not going to have a year where his year is up and he's like, no, I'm worth $25 million. No, he's not a Judge in that regard where his stock is going to go way up like that. But the long-term deal protects you from that too.
Well, not only that, but it's not even just from the player itself. It's from other players around the league. Using Juan Soto as an example. Okay, I remember when the Yankees made that trade, and I was talking to Howie about it, and we were saying, okay, by the All-Star break, we're going to come to the realization that extending this guy is going to cost $500 million, and it's going to make you want to puke, but you're gonna have to do it. It's just the way it's gonna be. Well, a few months go by, and I'm off by a whole Mookie Betts. The guy signs for almost 800
groundbreaking contract.
Right.
It's not just like
I was a little
money.
off. Yeah, it was crazy. And this is a year after Shohei signs his deal for I mean, again, it was $700 million, but when you take into account deferments, the real value of it was like 480. So you're thinking like, okay, Juan Soto, who again isn't even as good as Shohei, is still going to make more than him. That's how inflation works.
Yeah.
But
I mean, put on a good PR campaign,
right?
Too.
But he fucking like not doubled, but like it was like Shohei and Judge's contract put together with no deferments, and it's like, okay, so inflation is going bonkers right now. It's kind of like if a player in 2025 signs for $20 million, by 2026, the same kind of player will sign for like $30 million. It's like, what the fuck happened to 22 through 29? Like, why'd you skip all those numbers? Right. But inflation is sky high right now. So every year, like, it costs more and more to get
those
talent.
Those quote unquote smaller deals cost more and more.
Right.
And it's actually more beneficial for the long-term deals, even more so.
Cost certainty, yeah.
Not to mention the fact that Soto is not as good as Shohei or Judge.
Right.
And he's getting more than both of them combined.
Right.
Which is, again, crazy. That was the actual thing I was mad at with the Yankees, was not that they didn't get him, is that they even offered that much to begin with. It's like, and he's not going to defer like Shohei.
Right.
Say what you want about that gambling addict and that fraud.
Don't forget about the real estate.
The real estate, the real estate sleazeballery.
Yeah, and a bad friend.
Right, and a bad friend. He threw his Ipe to the wolves. And forget about that from a player perspective.
Right.
He
not even close.
Nobody was taking a deferment like he took.
Right.
Like he clearly is like, I'm gonna get the money.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also gonna gamble and make more money. And I'm also gonna sleaze these people out of real estate deals. So I'll be fine.
I'll be fine. Yeah.
Let's defer so that we could stack the deck and win more World Series. And now he's got 2 under his belt in 2 years or however long he's been with the team. And the Yankees and poor Aaron Judge has nobody else to to back, to go with him, to compliment him. No coffee table, no nothing.
Yeah, that's what the Yankees are doing wrong, in my opinion. Is they're going for the short-term deals,
but every year.
But with that comes its own risk, and they're losing out on it every single time. And Max Fried was a long-term deal, so I'm not saying that they're not doing it ever, but I mean, it just seems like they've had so many opportunities to bring the talent in, and they're just deciding that they would rather, piece it together a year at a time.
I saw that stat, or that somebody posted a meme. It was one of the baseball pages on social media, and it was like, the Yankees didn't even offer Bryce Harper or Freddie Freeman a deal when they were free agents back a couple years ago, and they showed their contract combined with what they were spending, and then they're like, "This is what the Yankees got instead." And it was Rizzo, LeMahieu, Aaron Hicks, and somebody else, 4 guys, and those 4 players, none of which are playing with the Yankees anymore. The Yankees are paying the same amount they would for Bryce Harper and Freddie Freeman, who are still playing and very good.
And very good. Yeah, I remember. So it was that 2018 season. They lose to the Red Sox, who went on to win the World Series
that year. Yeah,
and you would think that would be enough motivation, at least in the George days. It would be enough motivation.
100%.
Not only that, but even after they traded for Giancarlo, they were able to dip below the luxury tax.
Yeah.
Which again, kind of going back to a few minutes ago when we were talking about that, resets the penalties for what you pay in terms of draft picks and how much of luxury tax.
You're not a repeat offender.
You're not a repeat offender. You've reset it. So they were able to dip below the luxury tax, going into an offseason where they just watched their arch nemesis win the World Series. All the ingredients are there.
A year after they watched their new arch nemesis their way to a World Series. Yeah.
Yes, all the ingredients are there for them to spend. And lo and behold, Manny Machado's a free agent.
Yep.
Bryce Harper's a free agent. And instead they decide to go with J. Happ. They decide to give Zach Britton money. I think that was the year that they gave the Aaron Hicks extension. Severino extension.
Yep.
So you look back and you're like, well, what the fuck? Because Bryce Harper, I actually watched an interview. He did say, he's like, the Yankees did not even give me the time of day. No, and this is a guy, Right. Well, and it's one thing too where you have to lure them into you, which I feel like it's kind of fashionable now to say I would never play for the Yankees. We see multiple, Aroldis Chapman said I would never play for the Yankees again. No one's asking, buddy. I know you had a great year last year, but you're still a piece of shit.
Right. No, yeah.
But Bryce Harper has said, like, I'm a Yankee fan. Like, he used to wear number 34 because it was 7 for Mickey Man. Like, he was a Yankee fan. He wanted to play for them, and all they had to do was give him money, and they didn't even give him the time of day. And this is a guy whose average annual salary is like $27.5 million, which again in 2026 is nothing.
Right. They're paying Trent Grisham close to that.
Yeah.
And I love Trent Grisham,
but he's not Bryce Harper.
He's not Bryce Harper, and I used to hate Bryce Harper.
Right.
But regardless of how I felt about him, he's good.
He's a good player. I've always liked him. This is not hindsight. I've always been.
You've always defended him.
He had some sort of prima donna, but I never understood why the guy almost snapped his leg in half because he was trying to beat out an infield ground ball. He plays hard.
Yeah, he's always played hard. That's what I went back and put like hand up, like, oh, like
I love me some Bryce Harper.
I think his attitude that people talked about was more of like a media spin on reality.
Yeah. Well, a lot of it has to do with like
he's a young kid.
He's a 16-year-old kid who's on the face of Sports Illustrated, and they're talking about him like he's the LeBron James of baseball. He's the greatest ever. Yeah. And then he comes up, and even though he produces, he comes up at the same time as Mike Trout, who blows him out of the water. And everyone's saying, well, this guy was supposed to be the GOAT, and like, come on, that's not even close.
Right.
But he's still a tremendous fucking player. He shows up. He did a position change for the Phillies this,
he's an all-star.
Yeah, he's playing first base now, even though he was drafted as a catcher, but he was always going to be kind of an outfielder.
Right.
He's changed positions. Like, this is a great guy to have on your team. He's a left-handed bat that would have complemented Judge. And it would only cost you money. But again, they wanted to avoid, he ended up signing a 13-year deal, which I feel like he still lives in the past of giving, A-Rod a 10-year extension, Mark Teixeira, and a lot of these extensions that he got burned on. But the difference is these guys were 26 years, or Bryce Harper was 26. Machado was around the same age, 26, 27.
Yeah, A-Rod was 34, 35.
Right, there's a big difference. And again, when you can get that surplus value up front, it doesn't matter.
Yes, exactly.
It's baked in that, yes, by age 37, 38, they are going to fall off. They're going to regress. But if you can get enough surplus value, you're going to get your money's worth.
Yeah.
And you look at Garrett Cole. He's a perfect example. They signed him to this mega deal, and he's great. He pitches his ass off. He's won a Cy Young for them. He's been a lot of what they've needed him to be, but now he's 34, 35. He's coming back from Tommy John. So it looks like that window has closed on him. But you didn't take advantage of those surplus years where he's providing that value.
When he was carrying the pitching staff.
When you had Garrett Cole, when you had Aaron Judge. So we're seeing more and more of these windows closing, and they never capitalized. And it's going to get to the point where now you have to try to win in spite of having those guys on your team.
Yeah. And you're creating a hill to climb.
Right.
And what really pissed me off more with Cashman was damn, what the hell was it? What we were just talking about? Damn it. I forgot what I was pissed about.
There's so much.
So much.
Yeah, who can know what
it was so much what we were talking about.
He's talked about like his process and like how he believes in it, and
that was what it was. It was recently, right after the Yanks got knocked out, and there was every retired baseball player that's turned commentator, analyst, all the ex-players, all ex-coaches, all analysts were saying the same thing, basically what we've been talking about now of how the team is structured and this and that, and they're not really creating a situation where they're actually going to be really competitive in a playoffs.
Right.
They're not doing that right now. And Cashman's response to that was, they don't know what they're talking about. They don't have all the information. He was just pointing fingers like a child, like, you don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I'm behind the curtain. I know what's going on. It's like, okay, then tell us, because we're trying. I don't know how many more years we can give you the benefit of the doubt of that bullshit excuse of we don't know what's going on behind the curtain, because you're not telling us at this point. We're giving you all the information we have and why we think you suck.
Right.
All your response to that is, you don't know what I know.
Sure.
and you're not telling us, and then you're also not going out and getting a team that doesn't suck in the playoffs.
Right. Yeah. The results speak for themselves.
Right. So if you're not like, if you have the secret information, cool.
Right.
Do something with it then, because it's not working out. Whatever your information is, it's dog shit.
Well, and I think that's one of the things that's most frustrating about, especially his postseason conferences, where he talks about, well, we're process oriented, we're not results oriented, and we believe in our process. And that's one of the most frustrating things you could say, because like you look at old school versus new school, is batting average even worth a shit anymore, or is it more about WABA and WRC plus and wins above all this stuff?
Yeah.
And I think, I've educated myself on the newer stuff because I come to realize like this is what the game is now, and you can either get on board or you can find another sport to watch. And I'm not gonna, so I've decided like, okay, I'm gonna educate myself on this. But like if you're building a team, it's not good to have a dogmatic approach to either one.
Right.
And there's nothing like scientific about saying, regardless of the results, we believe in our process. Like that's not science at all. Like that's, if you get the result that you don't want, then you need to change something. Like it's telling you that it's not working. And again, to his credit, and maybe this is what he's talking about, is they've sort of hacked this formula where they can win 90 plus games. Although if they don't do anything, that's not going to happen this year.
Right.
But they've made it into the postseason every year. And then they fail and they say, well, it's a crapshoot. But it's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy where it's like you're building a team that over a course of 162 will give you some results, but it's not going to work in a short series.
Right.
And then you just say, well, it's a crapshoot, so we can't do anything about it. But it's not a crapshoot. I mean,
the process. First of all, it's definitely not a. It's definitely not nearly as much of a crapshoot as they're claiming it is.
Right. The Astros have been there outside of this year, like seemingly for a decade straight. They're always they went to like 7 ALCSs in a row. The Dodgers won 2 in a row, and they're going to be the favorites again next year. So like, yes, there's an element of randomness, but also there is a way you can prepare yourself and actually.
They have prepared their teams in a way, like them or not. I hate them both.
I hate them both. They're one of the 2 most hated teams. Yeah,
they've created a team where them losing is the surprise.
Sure.
It's not because it's a crapshoot. It's like, oh, we're gonna
right.
Who knows what's gonna happen? It's like, no, they created a team that is going to be the favorite legitimately, not like the fake Yankees favorite because they win the regular season.
Right.
It's legitimate. Like we have the team built. We know the regular season strategy. We have a playoff strategy as well. That's going to make us actually competitive each and every time. When we lose, that's the surprise.
Yeah, and it's fascinating that you put it that way because the Yankees have almost created this situation where if they won, they would be the Arizona Diamondbacks or the Texas Rangers. They're the surprise because they've gotten there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just frustrating to see it year in and year out. And again, like I've been doing a lot of educating myself on like goal achievement in general, mainly for the spearhead stuff. And all the highly successful people, they all have a process and they focus on that's a big thing is like this, they call it the paradox of the product, the results goal is like, if you focus just on the result, you're going to forget about the process to get the result and you're going to end up failing. Like the studies have shown it. So you want to have a process, but the process is built around a product goal, a result goal. So what is Cashman's result goal? He said, we don't care. We're not focused on results, but what are you building the process around?
Yeah, you're getting feedback for your process and it's not good.
What the process is for, if there is no product or result that you're actually trying to achieve, is the process, is the goal to just come out on top revenue wise, profit wise? Is the goal in 20 years, this process will result in a good team? There has to be a result. Otherwise, you're building a process around nothing. And you can say, we believe in our process. The process is working regardless of what happens.
Sure.
So, and again, it goes back to his lack of transparency and that whole we have a process. Okay, what is it? What is it built around? That's none of your business. Like, I'm behind the curtain and you don't, you're not a manager or you're not a GM, so you don't understand, kind of thing. And it's like,
and I don't know if they're trying to recondition us where you and I growing up, the brand was it's win or it's a failure,
win or bust.
Win or bust. And there's obviously baseball has changed a lot over the years, and it is very hard to repeat. The Dodgers doing it this year was the first time since the Yankees have done it.
The Yankees did last.
So yes, it's very hard to win every year. but like the effort still needs to be there. If you go out and put the team together and then they don't win, you can kind of live with that. Whereas like, and again, going back to Hal Steinbrenner as being a good owner versus a bad owner, I think he has a terrible PR team because every year when he does his little press conference, he talks about, well, we don't make as much money as you think we do. And like, the Dodgers are the new evil empire. I'm sitting here thinking like, Jesus Christ, man, that's your brand that you are now giving up. And maybe that's what he wants. Maybe he wants Yankee fans to realize that's not it anymore. We've talked about this in the past too. There are now 22, 23-year-old Yankee fans out there, like full-grown adults, who when you say, oh man, the Yankees always win, they're like, what the fuck are you talking about? They never win.
Yeah.
So, maybe that's what they want. They want to rebrand of a team that's no longer the evil empire, and they just are competitive every year. And that's all this is just recondition us, which is sad because they've sold us on that brand that they try to win all the time. Right. And if you want to call that, I mean, listen, I'm still a Yankee fan, even though they haven't won. But like, if you want to even say, well, you're getting frustrated because they're not, trying to win every year, whatever you want to call it. It's like, I mean, first of all, I want my team to be fully invested in their product. That's first and foremost. Yeah. But also, like, I'm not a crazy person. I understand, Cashman used to have this expression, it's not about championship, it's about championships. Just give me fucking one, dude. I'm okay with just one. But you haven't
given us any legitimately
in
a long time.
Yeah.
And you can argue, like, you gave us just one, really.
Yeah, well, the 09 World Series is when they got Mark Teixeira and CC Sabathia and AJ Burnett.
Did all the stuff that they're not doing.
Yeah, right. Like, okay, you spent a bunch of money that offseason and you won a World Series. Maybe just go back to that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, so the one time you did what you say is not good, you won a World Series. Yeah. And then the other ones are really not off of your efforts at all.
Yeah.
They're residuals from the guy who got canned.
Yeah, right.
Which was crazy.
It is crazy.
But I understand, like, players individually, like, it's still a job. They're still trying to get paid. It's a career in that regard. Mm-hmm. But, like, what is the point of your team going out there and playing every day if your goal is to not try to win the World Series?
Well, I think, again, using the Dodgers example, I think that's why they're able to attract so many players on below market value deals, because I think you're seeing players more and more saying, okay, I'll take $2 million less a year to go be in it every single fucking year.
Right. Because there's also additional shit always attached to teams that win championships. Mm-hmm. You get playoff bonuses. Sure. You get playoff accolade bonuses if you're MVP of ALCS or whatever. Mm-hmm. You get bonuses for winning the World Series. You get other residual deals that come in sponsorships, this and that, all this shit that comes with winning.
Right.
And now it's for me, as from the business side, it's like that would be more of a draw for me if I was the GM or if I was the owner. It was like, hey, you're going to get paid all these bonuses as opposed to tacking it on to flat salary. Like, from a business perspective, I have this conversation with Sticks all the time where we're talking about, like, contracts and stuff, and he's like, oh, well, this company is offering me these bonuses and stuff, but it's like, well, that's only if money.
Right.
Salary is when money. Right. Like, that's guaranteed money. So if a team like the Dodgers can be like, yeah, we're going to offer you $2 million less a year, but we're also putting you in a real position to get that if money and that if extra.
Sure.
And we also have an attitude of trying to win.
Right. And at the end of the day, you can't forget
competitors love.
Right. I understand this is a business and they want to make money, but they still want to win. Like, I really have to believe.
There's not all the Anthony Rendones of the MLB who are pieces of garbage and just, like, literally I just want to get a paycheck and go home. I don't even like the sport.
But there's a reason why he's, like, notorious.
He's notorious because he's, like, the only one.
Right.
He's one of a very few.
People still want to win. Yeah.
Right. You start playing that sport and you start playing that sport competitively after Little League because it's like you have that innate desire to win and compete and work for that.
Right.
And the Yankees mantra right now is like,
yeah, we'll compete. We'll win 90 plus games.
If we make it far, like, they're considering it seems like they're considering it like house money. Like, we're playing with house money. We make the playoffs. If we win a series or if we make it to the World Series, like, that's all. Like, this is great. It's like The attitude should be the opposite. We understand realistically you're not going to win all of them.
Right.
But if you're not trying to win all of them, what the fuck are you doing? What is the point of your team?
Correct. That when you don't address the clear things that are keeping you from winning a World Series, I have no choice but to believe you're not serious about it.
Right.
Because you go into every offseason when you have all these glaring holes. This is why you didn't win. You have all these reasons why you won those games, but here's a lot of the reasons why you lost. And those reasons never get addressed.
Never.
I have a hard time believing that you're serious about it then.
Right.
So
and they make the excuses of like, well, we made the World Series in 2024. It's like, yeah, well, first of all,
smoked.
You had the easiest route.
Right.
You should have swept those two teams that you had to compete against. And then when you actually played a team who was postured for playoff victory and cared about winning a World Series, you got absolutely bent over a fucking barrel and embarrassed.
Yep. And that's the only one.
And I don't care, like, well, we made it. You know how hard it is to make the World Series? Yeah, I do. But
that doesn't mean you should stop trying.
It doesn't mean you should stop trying. It doesn't mean that you should use it as an excuse to stop caring about it.
Yeah, like I said, my problems. I mean, listen, we've already been talking about this for an hour, and we've only addressed really their way of going about free agency. You got to
haven't even talked about
the farm system,
the lack of development. We haven't even talked about what we think they should be doing right now in the offseason, like what players and stuff.
Yeah.
I think they're a lot more of a mess than.
Oh, I think it's going to be really bad. Like I said, you've already kind of. I mean, listen, maybe Garrett Cole comes back and he's Garrett Cole. But there's got to be at least a sense that he's not going to be the same pitcher.
Sure.
Aaron Judge, again, he could regress a little bit and still be a freaking all-star MVP caliber player. That's how good he is. But if he regresses, that's more offense that you're going to lose. So, like, there's a lot of reasons to be like.
They're building a team that is banking off of their continued exceeding expectations, and they're not building a foundation around it at all. It's like. I talked about it a little bit over last season, in last offseason, where they're like, it seems like they're doing the bare minimum and hoping that nobody goes down and nobody has a bad year. And it's like, how do you have a winning mindset or success mindset if your entire team is built on hope and a dream?
Right. Yeah. I mean, the crazy part is, he's addressed this with Giancarlo a few off seasons ago, where he said like, oh yeah, this guy's going to miss time. He's going to be on the IL because he does every year. It's like, okay, well, what the fuck are you doing about it?
So
Then
what are you doing about it?
What are you doing about it?
You're just sitting there hoping that one year he doesn't. He just decides to not.
Right.
Like.
Yeah, no, it's very strange. When I say strange, it's stupid is what it is.
It's stupid and frustrating. And again, tell us the secret information behind the curtain that you have and we don't, on why everybody collectively thinks you suck, but you are so confident in the fact that you don't suck and we're all wrong. Tell us.
Yeah, and tell me why, like, you're utilizing. George used to get a ton of flack for, his farm system was only used to trade for veteran players. He never gave young players a chance. When he got banned from baseball, that's when Mariano and Posada and Jeter, that's when they were able to
sneak in
because he wasn't around.
Yeah.
You know what though? Like, looking back on that, if you decide that your farm system only exists for trade bait and you're only going to get other pieces, I can live with that more than what Cashman is doing right now, which is to not play them and not trade them. It's like, what the fuck are we doing?
And the ones he picks to play.
Yeah.
Like, I think he keeps them around too long. Once you realize they're either not ready, or they're not going to be ready.
Right.
Like, they've hit their ceiling and they're not nearly as good as we thought, which happens. We get that. He does not pull the trigger one way or another quick enough. Like,
yeah, and like I said before, like, the dogmatic view doesn't work for either outside the spectrum. Whether it's you want a prospect hug or you want to trade all your prospects for other guys and then possibly miss on like an Aaron Judge or whatever it is.
Right.
The thing that I don't understand is how they don't know their own guys. It's hard to scout other players, but you should know your own guys.
Yeah.
And he's choosing them completely ass backwards. And, we get into the Anthony Volpe situation. It's like, why is this guy not getting the rookie treatment like everybody else? Like Jason Dominguez. Jason Dominguez didn't perform very well. Trent Grisham did. So guess what? Jason Dominguez is out. Like, he's no longer, he's kind of the forgotten man. Whereas Anthony Volpe is like, not only is he not getting better, he's actually getting worse in every facet of the game. He's no longer a good defender. He's a terrible offensive player. His base running obviously has limited value because he doesn't get on base.
Never got on base anymore.
So, like, why is he getting some sort of treatment that other rookies don't get? Why have you identified him as the guy when everyone is kind of like, again, the results are in. It's been 3 years now.
Right.
There are players who are worse than Anthony Volpe, but none of them get the same kind of playing time that he gets. He has gotten 1,500 plate appearances over the last 3 years. As far as using that amount of playing time, he is the worst.
He's the worst. Yeah. The guys who are actually worse than him, they're not making that cut line because the teams are getting rid of them or benching them. They're doing what you're supposed to do. Again, it's still like if you're not performing your job, it's still a business. You still like if I wasn't doing my job, I get benched. I get something some accountability happens.
Yeah.
And it's at this point it's not fair to Volpe because they're throwing him out there.
Yeah, I know.
You get tomatoed faced by the fans.
It's bad.
The poor bastard
probably wants to go. He wants to go to Pittsburgh, man. He wants to go to Cincinnati.
Yeah, he just needs a break.
Yeah.
And like they even got what's his name, Caballero or whatever, who is like he was a better player.
I mean, it's not a high benchmark.
Not a high benchmark, no. But like he's a shortstop, and you were purposely not putting him at shortstop because you were kept playing Volpe.
Yeah.
And I just don't understand the mindset of like.
Yeah.
I saw a thing, speaking of Volpe. I mean, there's a lot of memes about Volpe out there, poor bastard. But recently, a New York Jets football player was shot in New York City. And he survived. He's okay.
That's the only reason why we can make jokes about
it. Right. But there was like an article headline about like they're narrowing down their search of the guy. Like they identified the guy, and they're looking for him to catch the culprit. And somebody put in the caption like on the New York Post Instagram post that they had, like one guy commented like, I hope the guy they identified as Volpe because that's the only way the Yanks won't play him. That's the only way we're gonna get a new shortstop.
Yeah, I've seen some bad ones.
I mean, I feel bad for Volpe, but I hope he had at this point I don't even blame him anymore.
Yeah,
he can only he's got a talent ceiling, and he can only be so good. And at this, the Yankees are not helping him.
Well, Ozzie Guillen, the old manager for the White Sox, had a pretty funny quote. He talked about it's actually more impressive to hit 200 than it is to hit 320, because if you're hitting 200 all year, every year, why the fuck are you playing?
Yeah, you shouldn't even be out there.
It's actually impressive that you're able to play every day and perform at that level. So.
Yeah. And that's what's so crazy about the Volpe situation, and also too about like a guy like McMahon. Like there's fielding is not
it has a ceiling, right? You could be the best defender ever.
Right. There's never going to be a situation, except for catcher maybe,
yeah,
where it's like this guy's so good at catching that we will accept the fact that he's batting 140. He's a guaranteed out.
And a lot of that has to do with the other pieces, right? When you're building a team, you can have, like, I remember when the Red Sox were really good, they had Jackie Bradley Jr., who had some good years, but for the most part, he was kind of like, or the Astros is a better example with Martin Maldonado. To your example, he was a catcher. He was one of the best defensive. And like when you have Kyle Tucker, Yordan Alvarez, Jose Altuve, Jeremy, you have all these guys.
Bregman at the time.
Bregman, then you can afford to have that defensive only guy who's probably not going to.
He's an out. He's an out. And if you have to pinch hit, you know where to pinch hit or DH or whatever.
But when your entire team is made up of Aaron Judge and guys who can't really get it done. Yeah. It's not
like, so now you're complimenting Volpe, who is not a great fielder. I know they sit on that Gold Glove. He was a Gold Glover, and then even Boone said last year, he's like, if he made a couple less errors, he'd be back in the Gold Glove picture. And it's no shit. If you don't make errors, you're going to be in the Gold Glove.
If only he didn't suck, it'd be good.
Too bad he made the errors. Right. Not to mention the fact that I always go back to this. He won the Gold Glove that year because the real best shortstop in the league that year was a pedophile.
Yeah.
And I don't understand why they don't want to admit that.
Yeah.
Like, yes, technically he still won.
Yeah.
But if you're not behind the scenes taking that analytic into account of like, he he didn't earn the Gold Glove. He won it by default because every shortstop in the American League was not good.
Right.
And the one good shortstop was Wander Franco, who was having an illicit relationship with a teenager.
Right.
And they had to run him out of the league.
Listen, defensive metrics, like I said, I've tried to educate myself, but that is in itself a strange hill to die on. The defensive metrics that like to say, this guy's a good short. Derek Jeter's the worst shortstop in the history of baseball and all this other stuff. It's like, damn, he seemed to make a lot of good plays. I remember watching him. He was doing just fine.
Yeah.
The defensive metrics that are being used today is a strange hill to die on. And they want to say that this guy's a good shortstop, this guy's a bad shortstop, and all this other stuff.
It doesn't put a lot of merit into it. Affect the team's success that much to where you're putting out all Gold Glovers who are batting 140.
Yeah. And that's another thing too. And again, we can talk about this for another 2 hours, but like another, Cashmanism is like, trying to shore up defense and pitching. And basically we're going to go about this through run prevention, where I don't know that that's a sustainable.
No, that's a don't lose mindset as opposed to win mindset.
Right. Yeah. You got to put runs on the board.
That's a loser's mindset.
Right. So.
And he's also not doing that.
Right. He's also not preventing runs.
Like, even if you're saying we're going to run prevention, but you're also not picking up guys who are going to do that.
Right.
Or you're not you can go back to the World Series against the Dodgers, that fifth inning, like, oh, that was just one inning and it blew everything. It's like, no, everybody was saying this the entire time because we saw it throughout the regular season with games that didn't matter or innings that didn't matter, but the bullshit was still happening.
Right. It was like a microcosm.
Still happening. Yeah. Right. Now, when it actually needed to not happen and it did happen, it blew up. Like, you're not even teaching your players the fundamentals of baseball to be that run prevention or to think ahead or to not make the stupid base running errors. Like, they're not. We could talk for literal hours about the shit that I think that they're not paying attention to, that they probably could benefit from paying a little bit more attention to.
Well, instead of shaking your finger at the old veteran players that excelled at this game and saying you don't know what you're fucking talking about, maybe you should listen to them every now and again.
Right. Also, every single one of them has at least one World Series ring. Some of them have more.
Sure.
And it's not just the ex-Yankees. Smoltz.
Right.
Poppy. Yeah. That piece of garbage, Pedro, like everybody collectively who has a ring or MVPs or Cy Youngs or Silver Sluggers
or Hall of Famers,
they're all saying the same thing, but yet you're still the only one right, and everybody else is wrong. Like I find that mathematically that doesn't make sense.
Right. Yeah.
The numbers aren't adding up. The analytics aren't adding up this time, buddy.
Yeah.
So, well, I guess we'll see what happens. There's every other team is making moves right now. I mean, they're laughable. The Mets are basically getting rid of their entire team.
Yeah, I don't know.
Probably a good thing for them because those guys were not winning them World Series.
Yeah,
but
it's still. I mean, listen, we'll save that for another episode. But the Mets are pretty laughable right now. But the Yankees aren't far behind. Like I said, unless they do anything and they still got time. But if they don't, I would say my early preseason prediction is they win. 88 games tops.
I predict maybe they get a relief pitcher. Maybe they get another relief pitcher or two.
Yeah.
Who I don't know who. Like, I don't know, maybe through a trade, possibly. I don't know.
Yeah.
And maybe they get Bellinger, or maybe they get another right-handed bat of some sort.
Sure.
I think that's the only moves that they're going to make, and that they're able to make because of the restrictions they put on themselves.
Right. And unfortunately, based on the way the market is going, and it is really inflated right now, you're going to see some of these players that they're supposedly interested in, when Bellinger's price tag comes out, they're going to say, yeah, we like him, but we don't like him for that price. And that's what's going to cause them to back away.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, I don't know exactly what they're going to do.
Plus the mindset Cashman already has where he thinks the team is postured for success already, which is, again, ludicrous to me.
Sure.
I don't expect. I told my mom, I was like, listen, I know you're gonna get angry regardless because you're a hothead, and that's just the shtick. Like, that's just the show that we have.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you right now, don't expect a good team.
Right.
Don't get mad that they're not performing well, because they're probably performing exactly how well they should based on their caliber that they have available to them.
Yeah.
Get mad at Judge.
Yeah. Get mad at that he's going to have another wasted year where he puts up another historic season.
Right. Where he's putting up numbers that are like, oh, we haven't seen this before.
Right.
and they're gonna crawl into the playoffs. Maybe I don't even know if they're gonna be. I don't know right now, as it stands now, the team they have right now.
Yeah,
I
don't see how
No.
you look ahead at other teams. There's a lot of reasons to be optimistic. For the Blue Jays, the Orioles, even the Red Sox.
I can even say it about the Mets because even though the Mets got rid of all their fan favorite players right now, and they're probably going to get rid of Lindor too with a trade, like they continue to make serious moves.
Well, they have a smart general manager, and like you take a look at the Pete Alonso thing in a vacuum. It's frustrating because you say, well, they failed miserably at the end of last season, and they just lost a big piece. But if you look at it at a vacuum, they're telling you they don't value Pete Alonso for $30 million over 5 years,
Right.
and it's hard to argue.
And I don't disagree.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
I don't. I think the Orioles are suckers because he's also like.
He's a terrible first baseman. He has a low on base percentage. He's for a ton of power, but it's just one of those things that if you really were to look at it on an individual basis, you say, yeah, he's probably not worth that.
No.
Whereas, a lot of Mets fans are taking a look at it from the perspective of, well, we were bad last year and now we just got worse, which is true, but I think there's reason for optimism there. They're going to do something. I know they're gonna.
And again, the Mets are always the little brother.
Yeah.
They're just the Mets. And it's always funny to see, especially now with all the Mets fans are like, I can't believe they just got, they let Diaz go and Alonso and Nimmo, and they're going to let Lindor go. Like they're abandoning all their fan favorites and they're the worst ever. But it's like, again, they may have unsuccessful seasons, but you can go back and say they're always making big moves with the idea of trying to build a quality competitive team. Well, it's not working out, but they're doing something.
Well, it's the opposite, right? It is really the opposite side of the spectrum of what we've been talking about with Cashman. Stearns is looking at this and say, I mean, he's only been the GM for a year or two now, and he gave this team a chance for that window. He says it's not working, so now I'm going to change it. So it is quite the opposite of what Cashman's doing, where he's just saying, no, this is our process. We're going to keep doing the same thing over and over again.
Right.
So it might look nasty right now. But, it's sort of like, you're operating on the patient. It's going to be painful, but now you're in the recovery process.
You know what's going to be real painful? I don't think this is going to happen because it's just the Mets. But they make it to the World Series next season, and the Yankees don't make the playoffs.
I don't know that I'd predict that right now.
That's a crazy thing. But listen, it's not now. It's on record. In case it happens, like if that doesn't get you fired up to get rid of Cashman, I mean, listen, like I said, we've seen the Red Sox win multiple World Series over the course of this tenure, and nothing seems to move the needle. I feel like it's been Pavlov's dogs, where Yankee fans, maybe Crazy Carroll's part of this, where you almost root for them to fail because when they do, they used to say, "All right, we're cleaning house. Well, now we're shaking things up."
Whereas now, when they fail,
they're just like,
it's just now you're just rooting for your
my mom was like, "Listen, you think this is going to motivate them to shake things up and make changes? It's not, because the person in charge still of making the changes doesn't think they need to,
right?
For whatever reason." So anyway, that's all I got to say about that for now. Again, I don't want to take up too much of your time.
I can do this all day. So maybe we'll talk more on that live stream.
Yeah, we'll try to get that set up. I'll do some practice runs and what have you, and get that going. But before we go, very quickly, the big three pillars to staying strong and being a better, happier, kinder, healthier, less stressed, more genuine human being, being able to spread that positivity and goodness to all those around you throughout the land. Number one, exercise every day. Do something each and every day to improve your fitness, health, and wellness, physically, mentally, or emotionally. So it could be anything. Exercise, it could be a workout, it could be reading a book, learning a new skill, whatever. Number two, the hardest one to do, don't be a shitty, negative person, be a kind person. When the opportunity arises in front of you to be negative towards somebody, to be shitty, to take a jab, to make an angry, mean post on social media, take a deep breath, take the LPDS step back, detach from those negative emotions, and just remove yourself from the situation. That way, you're minimizing the negativity and shit going on in your life and the world around you, and you're allowing yourself the capacity to go focus on more positive, productive things like exercising. Number three, the most important one, be genuinely thankful and grateful for all the good you have in your lives. And you can do this realistically take action on this every day by thinking about one good thing that you have in your life, or one good thing that happened to you in the last 24 hours, and what your life would be like without that. Even if it's a little bit shittier, that's going to put you in that state of gratitude. And the more often you're in a state of gratitude, the easier it's going to be for you to not be a shitty person, to be kind. And it's going to give you that space and that capacity to go focus on more positive, productive things like exercising. So if you do these 3 things a little bit each and every day, I promise you'll be a better, happier, kinder, healthier, less stressed, more genuine human being, be able to spread that positivity and goodness to all those around you and throughout the land. Orty, Creech,
thanks for having me.
Thanks for letting me come by here today and bother you at your home to do this.
It was fun, man. I loved it.
I love being able to have these conversations, even if it's not about Yankees. Any conversation that we can just shoot the shit on. That's why we sticks all the time.
That's right.
It's an easy way for us. Don't know if it's a good idea to record stick sessions, but
no,
that's why we have the LPDS.
That's right.
We can clean it up
keep it a little bit cleaner.
Yeah, keep it a little bit cleaner, family friendly for Family Show Terrence and his kids out there. So thanks again for letting me do this, for coming on. We'll get you on again soon. Thank you guys again for tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe and tell your friends and enemies. Hit the hotline 202-670-1114. Again, I think it would be hilarious if you guys are giving out the hotline number to randoms, whether at networking events, to people you don't really want to network with, or a bad date on Hinge or Bumby or whatever, and you just tell them like, hey, this is my work cell phone, so if I don't answer, expect this voicemail to be on, like the Libretti Podcast Diary. That's who I work for. Just tell them you work for the LPDS. And let them leave that voicemail. We'll play it on. We'll play that hotline call on the air. We'll talk about it. I'll try to guess who gave the number out to that person. And just have some fun with it. Send that number out. 202-670-1114. Thank you guys again. I love you all. Stay strong.